Hello, this is the Digital Loops, Season 3, Episode 10. Hi, Ivan, how are you?
Hi, Paul. Great to see you. How's it going?
Yeah, good. I mean, I'm in Geneva this week for Easter. I mean, my Easter is actually this Sunday because I'm Greek Orthodox. But anyway, I'm for 1 week in Geneva, which is why we have an unusual setting behind me. That's my flat here in Geneva. We decided to talk about virtual reality, so maybe all this behind me is actually not real. Maybe all this is just a studio setting and I just can do like this and all disappears, but that's not the case. Why virtual reality? Basically, virtual reality has been around for a long time, but of course, since Facebook bought Oculus Rift, Oculus as it's called now, I think it was in 2014, right, Ivan? Since they bought it, everybody suddenly became like very excited about virtual reality. What is virtual reality? Why is Facebook investing $2 billion in virtual reality? What do they want to do with virtual reality? So we figured it would be an interesting topic to talk about today. So do you want to come a bit with it?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that we decided to talk about this, it was a very good article last week by Tim Merrill entitled "Augmented and Virtual Reality to Hit $150 billion, Disrupting Mobile by 2020." And I thought that was very interesting because it in a certain way it's true. I mean, I can see that right now all these platforms feel like an early stage platforms. And it's just a matter of time where somebody is going to come up with a thing that is going to change everything. Kind of like what happened when the iPhone came. You know, there were a lot of phones, and all of a sudden something happened and changed everything and disrupted everything.
Actually, what you're saying is actually very right, because no matter, I mean, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know where all this virtual reality, and we'll come to the term what it actually means, but we don't know where it's going. But if you think about like exactly what you said 10 years ago, nobody would have figured where all the mobile ecosystems would go, like having all these apps, being able to do all this stuff through just a single phone. Even 10 years ago, which is not such a long time ago, people would be like, this is truly science fiction. This is never going to happen. And now this is the same speeches you hear from people saying, oh, virtual reality, this is only science fiction. It's never going to happen. Well, who knows? Maybe in 10 years. So go on. Sorry.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that we're in 2015, and the article says that by 2020 this will disrupt mobile in a dramatic way. So it's only 5 years from now. And when you look at what's happening now, with, for example, as you mentioned, Oculus or Magic Leap, which Google just invested $500 million on this company, you can see that it's really interesting to have a good understanding of what's the direction or what is the potential of these both type of platforms. Now, what I like about this article is that he clearly defines what is the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality, and I think that this is also good for us to mention because some of you might not know the difference between them. Basically, virtual reality, it's close and it's fully immersive, which means you put this, like Oculus, you put this thing on your face and you are completely, close. You have something happening.
Yeah. So basically, your vision and your auditions are completely immersed, and you cut off in a way from the rest of the world, and you live a true immersive experience. Yeah, correct.
Exactly. So you are there, and this is fantastic for movies, for example, fantastic for games. But basically, you're sitting down, and you're gonna have this thing blocking, and you are having a full experience, but you're completely separated from the outside world.
Yes.
With augmented reality is open and is partly immersive, which means imagine that you are walking around and you have a transparent smartphone on your face, on your eyes, so you are able to see what's happening in your surroundings while something is appearing in front of you.
But actually, that's something that already exists in a way. I mean, of course, there's been Google Glass, which was trying to do this. The product is not dead; it's been on hold in a way because it's trying to reinvent it. But even just augmented reality in general, already on your phone, you have apps that make use of augmented reality. You have an app, for instance, called Flight Radar 24, where you can actually look where the planes are in the world, and if you actually look on the horizon with your phone with the app, you'll have suddenly the actual view of what you're seeing and an overlay of information. Same thing with restaurants apps that do the same thing, or like metro apps that give you where is the nearest tube station, stuff like this. Augmented reality already exists. The evolution would be, of course, to have something that's completely on your that sits on your head, hence Google Glass. And I would still mention that virtual reality can be also augmented reality, because even though you have a full headset on, you could still broadcast you the image that you actually have around you, and kind of layer a reality on it. That's basically a bit of the idea of the HoloLens by Microsoft, right? I remember everybody was surprised that Microsoft would come up with something like that, which means that basically maybe virtual reality, to use that term, is something that works. So yeah, exactly. It's a very good way to define both these aspects, so people do not confuse them.
Yeah, and what I think is interesting is I remember when Facebook purchased Oculus, there was this huge debate about why they are throwing money into this, and this is just it's for gaming. What does this mean? And like I always say, Socks, as I call him because we're friends, Socks knows what he's doing. He is really looking. If one thing Mark Zuckerberg has is long-term vision, and I think that move, maybe we don't understand it now, maybe we didn't understand it last year, but it's gonna get to a point that all of a sudden he's gonna come up with something that everybody's gonna go, ah.
I would also add that of course companies like Facebook and I mean the big ones, right, and that includes Microsoft, even though people do not consider it as sexy as it used to be, but these companies have to find growth somewhere, and Facebook has already hit like 1.5 billion people on the planet. They're going to hit, they have these initiatives to attract people from emerging markets by making, Facebook free on the mobile phones, etc., etc. But they always have to think ahead to say, okay, what are the next steps? We don't want to lose that user base. What will be the next step? And I think one of the bets, like you just said, is playing with Oculus. By the way, Oculus, for the people who don't know, it was first a Kickstarter, got a lot of money, then of course very quickly was bought by Facebook. But the very interesting bit here is that it's not available for buy yet. It's not just a prototype. It's actually, you can, if you're a developer. We had Dean Johnson as a guest, and Dean he's playing and he's developing stuff for Oculus. But for the moment, you can only have a developer kit. So you can have the headset, you can play with it, you can develop stuff. But for the public, it's not available yet. And that's a bit of the thing with all this virtuality. For the consumer, it's not really available yet. There's not. I mean, Sony has one that is also pushing. I don't remember the name. Maybe you do. And they're pushing obviously more for gaming and, like you said, movie entertainment, because these are the first thing we think with pure virtual reality. So according to your definition you said earlier, it's something completely immersive. Of course, gaming and the movie industry are the first one. The entertainment industry is the first one you think about. But then again, even there, it's very, very nascent. It's not as if, do you have a VR headset at home and you're watching movies with it?
No, and I think, I mean, from the point of view of the social point of view, I think that's going to be a very interesting dynamics at home when you imagine, I don't know, the four of us sit down on the couch, and me, I'm watching an action movie, my wife is watching a romantic comedy, and my kids are watching Star Wars. I don't know, it's gonna be, and each watching something else, and all of us, we're spending time together watching movies, right? It's just each of us is having his or her own entertainment platform.
But if you think there are other uses as well, because already, and this is of course less known for the public, but stuff, and I'm going to use examples that people can relate to, but you already have some kind of virtual reality development for surgery. So for surgeons, when they do training, they now train as well on pure virtual reality wells, when they actually, do a surgery on patients without having to do surgery on anyone. So this is already some kind of virtual reality, which will of course get even more sophisticated with these new tools. Flight simulators is very easy to think about. When you flight simulator, because people restrict the idea of virtual reality of having a headset on your face, but just being in a flight simulator is basically being in some kind of virtual reality, because you have all the screens around you fake the fact that you are in a plane and try to actually land it, or you're learning some techniques. So this is a type of virtual reality that already exists. And if you think about augmented reality, a few fields that have already started using it is architecture. So architects are already starting to use, how would this building look like if I put it there, and how this stuff, and in real estate, which is linked to architecture, so you can basically visit an apartment with a headset. That's already being started. You have I think you have an agency in London that does that. You can go there, you put some kind of headset. I haven't tried it, so I don't know the actual the setup, but you can visit apartments, and you can even, I think, play with furniture. You can I want this there and this there, and I think IKEA tried to do something like that. So these are stuff that already exist. These are just The thing is, do you think that you and me will one day, just instead of being here, I mean, we already do that in a way here. We're communicating, I mean, for those watching, not just listening on the podcast, but actually watching the video, which it's not virtual reality because I'm actually here and Ivan is actually on the other side. But do you think that having these kind of headsets will allow us maybe to work more efficiently because we can pretend to be in the same room, we can pretend to have a lot of stuff around us that we can, pass on, oh, here's a note that's just written, and I actually give it to you and you take it from your hand even though it's all virtual? That could be something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is one of the applications that I believe the big companies are really paying attention to from the point of view exactly of dynamics at work. As you mentioned, the fact that you can have, I mean, we already have these, teleconferences and these great rooms, and we can have a huge TV and have everybody in HD that you can see every single detail in people's faces. What is the next step? Probably this might be the next step, was, as you say, the experience of having this conversation or these meetings will be enhanced. And again, what I find that very fascinating and interesting is the fact that this is something that right now, today, many people go, nah, there's no way, or what's the point? There's not. But you look back at what we used to do 5 years ago. Let's not go that far. Just 5 years ago, it's different than what we do now. I mean, 5 years ago there was not a tablet, and the fact that so many people have now tablets, and it's a center for the entertainment center for many households. I know many people that they don't do nothing without a tablet now, and this is something that didn't exist 5 years ago. So what's going to be in 5 years with these new advancements in technology? I think that is going to be very interesting, and I think you'll be surprised.
And that's the thing. I mean, even though virtual reality kind of exists since the 50s almost, there was early attempts, and I'm not even mentioning science fiction books, etc., because that was even before. The price has been falling down. That's also the thing. Now you have headsets that would really cost almost nothing, but they would be like you said about the iPhone when it came out, for instance. It would be $1,000, and maybe tomorrow would be $500, and it becomes like a commodity. So, like you say, it can go very fast, and maybe some people, maybe me, I don't know, some old farts were like, I don't want to be in a virtual reality world and do stuff, etc. Maybe not, but then again, that just maybe shows that I'm getting too old for this, and maybe some, a younger generation will adopt this kind of technology much faster. We don't know, and it's interesting because there's one thing that I find really fascinating is that the way we work, the way that we collaborate, because we're just talking about these mega conference rooms when you have a lot of screens and you can do stuff. We are when we're using computers, or even when you're using a phone, we're still forced upon thinking how the phone works. Okay, I put a file there, and I put this app I have to open, and this other app now I have to open, or this software on my desktop I have to open. When you think about it, you don't have to do that in real life. When I'm in this room, when you're in your living room, if you need, I don't know, if you need to go to the kitchen to find a fork, you just open a drawer and find a fork. You don't have to think, which app do I have to open, even though, so having suddenly something, and I'm not being overly excited here, don't misunderstand me, but having something that is a working environment, especially for distance, remote working like you and me would be doing, sorry, having suddenly stuff at your disposal. We are very good as human beings to remember things in spatial environments. Okay, this is the note here, I put this there. I mean, sometimes we lose our keys, but I put this there and I can give it to you, Ivan. Whereas now you have like, I have to open Dropbox and click there to have the sharing link that I will share you. So maybe these tools will also allow a more natural way of interacting with each other for work, for entertainment, obviously, for many other things. But there's a promise there that could be working. Of course, because we have to mention the downside of it, and I don't know what you think about, but this. But the downside of it could be like, I just never want to leave my virtual reality. Well, I'm just with my headset, and I don't know if it's going to happen. What do you think?
Yeah, you have teenagers living in the basement with Cheeto fingers and playing Call of Duty all day. I mean, of course, this is something but again, it's not that this is going to be a cause for that. I mean, these are the behaviors that already exist, and this will be just an additional tool or additional platform that could have an impact on these sort of behaviors. What I find is interesting is like, yes, I mean, it's interesting to look into the future, but when you see the players and the companies that are doing something with that today, and doing it smartly, they are having an impact on the customer experience. Last week, no, the week before, I was in London. I had a meeting with Hyper Island, and I had the opportunity to meet with one of the executives at Lego. And we were talking about what they are doing, and these have these augmented reality boxes that when you go out to a store, they have this screen where you put the box in front of the screen, and you can see on the screen how the toy will look finished.
Like,
and it's
yeah, exactly.
By putting the box in front of it, and she was telling me that the impact that you see when you see the faces of the kids just being able to see that, to experience that, all of a sudden it's not just a block of Lego, but actually it's
something, a product finished. Yeah, it's a real experience. Yeah, I agree. Another very obvious avenue for virtual reality would be theme parks. I mean, we know that Disney is always very forward-looking, but if you think about it, I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried Oculus. I've tried it once, and the first thing they give you to try is a roller coaster. And you know, I was on a chair, and they gave me that thing, and it was just version 1. Now there's version 2, it's even better. So it was maybe not, but honestly, I was really feeling like I was going, you know, like you are on a roller coaster. So suddenly you can imagine not only having that at home and, you know, playing again games, entertainment, etc., but you could also add this type of experience, augment the experience in theme parks and other places that could use that. And I'm sure, because you know, a product takes off not only because it becomes cheap to do it technologically, but because there's a market that people will actually pay for it. So, and gaming and entertainment, which we have both said here many times, are the primary markets. Gaming will certainly be the first one, and entertainment. I mean, there's even been some movies already made. There's a studio, I think, in the U.S., a movie studio, so that starts to create short films for the moment, which are supposed to be viewed with a virtual reality headset. So these are the first ones that will take off, and of course all the other stuff we mentioned will be some niche markets for, I don't know, surgeons and flight simulators to more maybe generic. I'm sure that, you know, Microsoft, when they launch a HoloLens, was it the name?
Yeah.
I keep on saying holodeck, but that's Star Trek actually. And when they live long and prosper, and this is so. I'm sure that Microsoft, when they did it, they're thinking about, you know, like, how can we go beyond, you know, Word, Excel, and the Office suite and make something that is, you know, work. But I'm sure that the first markets will be entertainment and gaming, which, I mean, are maybe one of the same, and then you'll see others. And this is why I totally see Disney brands like Disney starting using, and you said just Lego. That's a brilliant example of a simple example for customer experience. When you think about what Disney is doing with their new band at Disney World, when you just have a very seamless experience, I totally see them adding this kind of features just for, you know, rides to augment even more I don't know how possible that is, their current rides. I'm sure we'll see these kind of stuff going pretty soon.
And what I was just going to say is, of course, connecting with Disney and Lego, one industry that I am sure is going to jump at it and is going to kill it is going to be the sex industry.
The adult industry, obviously, they will, because that's entertainment again. So of course, like every single piece of hardware technology that's been, you know, from VHS tapes to DVD to Blu-ray to the internet itself, so broadband, everything, they've always jumped into it because they're looking very quickly into addressable market and to make money. So I'm sure, of course, that will also come very, very quickly. Obviously, maybe it has already. By the way, I'm not even sure, but yeah, I'm sure they're looking into it as well. Yes.
But that's yeah, but I want to say that's a very good point. I have a good friend. He's a head of a big media house here in Poland, and what he gave once a speech, which I totally agree, and it's actually very good. He was saying, if you want to learn about internet marketing, you need to study the porn industry, because everything they do, everything they've done, they are pushing the envelope, and they are the ones that started with the little videos. They started with the little banners. They were way ahead of all the other industries because they are continuing to trying to find innovative ways to start to get, keep eyeballs going to those platforms, especially now that you have access to all these different things, for free in different places. They are still having to innovate, to having the opportunity to get, to keep people coming back. So yeah, the moral of the story: if you want to learn internet marketing, start watching porn.
I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, but it's true. I mean, and this is what we try to do today: is to say, like, okay, these are also avenues. We don't exactly know where it's going, but the fact that major internet companies, from Facebook to Microsoft to obviously Google, they are investing in VR, AR, so virtual reality, augmented reality. They're investing in these. We see the entertainment industry already, including the adult industry that Ivan just mentioned. We see them also having an interest because it's trying to find ways to monetize it. Means that there's no way that it won't, because there's been, and maybe because I know we have to wrap up soon, there have been bubbles before. Virtual reality, if you remember, maybe because you're also old enough, you want to remember, there was a point in the 90s where everybody was thinking about virtual reality. You could have a glove and a pair of glasses. I had tried it. I remember when I was in the startup back then, and it was really slow. It was really like cartoony. It was a lot of pixels and stuff. I mean, but see, people got excited, and then, of course, when the bubble, in a way, bursted, and people said it's not going to go anywhere. And I don't think we're exactly in the same situation because of the forces we've been talking, the fact that it's become very cheap, the fact that the very big companies are backing these type of technologies. I'm sure we're going to get something. I don't know where exactly we're going to get. To come back to the point you started with, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, most of the stuff that we are doing on smartphones now were either not imaginable, or at least if they were, nothing would go there that fast. And I'm sure that with virtual reality, augmented reality, we're going in maybe not exactly the same speed and not exactly the same direction, but something is poised to happen very quickly. And my bet is that gaming, it will be the first industry to adopt it, and very widely.
Excellent. Well, and on that high note, I'm off to play Call of Duty Ghosts and have fun with my immersive experience. It was great to see you again, and come back next week if you wanna. Remember, if you wanna come and find out more about the Digital Loop, you can go to our website, thedigitalloop.co. You can follow us on Twitter. You can check us on Facebook. And again, if you have any comments, any questions, let us know. We love to hear from you. So just stay in touch.
Exactly. And on this, see you next week, Ivan.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.